Well, Mortal Kombat's being rebooted again, so I thought, why not take a look at the game that started it all? Mortal Kombat. Not that Mortal Kombat, the other one, the other Mortal Kombat. In 1992, Mortal Kombat hit arcades and became a worldwide sensation, and in 1993 it became a movement. It was a big deal when it was announced that the game was coming to home consoles. In North America, the occasion was marked with Mortal Monday, which spawned one of my favourite video game trailers ever. The trailer is so beloved that they actually remade it recently to help market the new game. The actual ports were pulverising among critics. The version I prefer is the Mega Drive port. The Super Nintendo edition is infamous for its censoring of the violence, severely neutering the iconic fatalities. Sure, graphically it is superior to the Mega Drive version, and is closer to the arcade original, but the Mega Drive Mortal Kombat just gets it right. It gets it so right that it has become my favourite way to play the game. The violence is intact here, but it is locked behind a cheat code. Fortunately, it's easy to unlock, and it means the fatalities are preserved in their pixelated glory. One thing that is different from the arcade version is the music. The Mega Drive port features an all-new soundtrack that I actually prefer over the original. They're catchy and they make use of that signature twang the console's music is known for. Obviously, all of the problems I and many others have with Mortal Kombat are still present here. The difficulty in single player is comical. The fact that there is not one, but 3 separate endurance rounds is total bobbins. Fortunately, the AI is pretty easy to cheese here, especially when compared to the difficulty in Mortal Kombat 2, which is the equivalent of a coughing baby taking on Skynet. Shang Tsung's death is heavily scaled back here, when compared to the arcade original. No longer do all the other characters that he can mimic burst out of him. He just sort of falls over and disappears in a puff of smoke, and the game is beat. I do like the end credits though. Nice to see actual names attached to both the characters and the people who made the game. Not something that was overly common at the time, at least for console games. The controls are as stiff as ever, causing the game to have more in common with the first Street Fighter more than it does the second. The characters and backgrounds are very primitive here when compared to the subsequent games, but I think it adds to the eerie atmosphere this game has. I think the Mega Drive port of Mortal Kombat is a solid translation of the game. A lot of people give it crap for looking worse than the Super Nintendo port, but I think it plays better, which is arguably more important than the graphics. I think the developers did as good a job as they could have. Simply put, the first Mortal Kombat hasn't aged gracefully. There was also a Sega CD adaptation which was more accurate to the arcade game, this time using the original music thanks to the power of CD-ROMs. However, the music is all out of order, with certain tracks playing on the wrong stages. It's largely superior to the cartridge version, but it now features load times, and there isn't that much of a huge leap forward graphically, though lots of stages resemble their originals far more closely. Overall, I'd say the Mega Drive port of Mortal Kombat is really solid, and it's so solid it preserves all of the flaws with the arcade original. I think if you actually want to play the original Mortal Kombat, this isn't the version to play. Nowadays, it's far more of a novelty because the original can be easily obtained through online platforms like Good Old Games, or it can be emulated via MAME. I definitely think the game's cool though, and that's the only thing it's got going for it. You don't really see people playing the original Mortal Kombat competitively. Oh well, Mortal Kombat on the Sega Mega Drive, or the Sega Genesis if you're American, remains an example that Sega does what Nintendo does do. Wait, no, that's not right. Genesis does what Sega does, Nintendo doesn't. Super Mega Drive doesn't do what the Genesis do, doesn't Sega do what Sega don't.